everyone, welcome back to another video. And in today's video we have this 2024 Volkswagen Atlas, and we're going to do the front grille chrome delete installation for this vehicle. So as you can see, this is how the front panel looks before doing the installation, and this is how it looks after the installation. So we used a gloss black material in order to black out the front panel. Link for the product will be provided below, but with that being said, let's get started with the installation video. These are the tools you need for the installation. So before we start with the installation, we need to make sure we prep the front grille. So all we need is water and baby shampoo mixed together in a spray bottle. Once you have your solution, spray it onto a clean microfiber towel and make sure to remove any contaminants that each panel may have. And then once you're done prepping each panel, make sure that everything's completely dry. That way the adhesive on the film is able to tack down to the panel. Okay, so once you finish prepping the panel, now we can start with the installation. So we're going to start by aligning this section of the film to the edge of the grille here. So just place it, and the rest of the film just place it onto the panel, that way it doesn't fall off and get any contaminants from the other sections of the vehicle. So just lift the film and align it to the edge and make sure that the chrome is being covered. So coverage here, coverage on the edge here, and now all we need to do is just follow the design of the panel. And you could use the lower half as a guide to align the rest of the film. So just lift and adjust it and just follow through until you reach to the other end. And then if you need to lift the film again to adjust it and to remove any fingers, you can. You just slowly lift it carefully, place it back down, and you should have coverage up to the edge again. So once you finish placing the film, now grab your squeegee and start tacking down the entire film. Make sure to remove any air that's trapped underneath the film. And then once we're done tacking down everything, we're going to apply heat. That way we help the adhesive on the film activate faster, and then we'll trim off the excess material that we have on top. If you're having trouble tacking it down around the two curves of the panel here, just apply a little bit of heat. That way we could help the film soften a little bit, and then we help also the adhesive activate, and then we'll just tack it down with our squeegee. So you can use the low setting for this part. Let the film cool down, and then with your squeegee, just help it tack down like this. You can also use your finger, either or. Just make sure you help tack down the film, and then you could tuck in the film underneath the small gap of the grille. So just make sure tuck in as much as possible, and then whatever's left over, we'll trim it off. And just don't forget about the piece here in the corner. Just fold it, use your squeegee, and tuck in the film. And now just apply heat throughout the entire panel, and then we'll trim off the excess material, and then we should be good, and then we'll move on to the next piece. Okay, so now we're moving on to the next piece. So when it comes to doing the installation for the rest of the panels, it's almost the same thing as how we did it with the bottom piece. Just make sure you align it to the edge. But instead of using the lower half as a guide to align the film, we would use the top half for the rest of them. Make sure you have material to cover everything, and then just follow through until you reach to the other end. So when you're trimming off the excess material, you could use the top half as the guide, since there is a small gap in between the plastic panel and the actual chrome section where you were installing it. Create an outline with your finger, and then you would just insert your blade and trim off the excess material. And then you would just lift it and remove the material you don't need. And then for the bottom section, around the middle section here, where it connects with the lower section of the panel, you are going to have just a little bit of extra material. If you do happen to have material that you don't need, you would just grab your blade, hold the film, and just slightly trim off the material. That way it's not hanging or there's no leftover, and then it'll peel off over time. And then you would just do this to the rest of the lower section if you have any excess material on the bottom. And that's pretty much it. And then you would just apply heat to seal all the edges that were trimmed off. And then you will move on to this next piece. Okay, so when it comes to doing the remaining pieces, all these three, it's the same process when it comes to the installation. Just make sure, place it here and start by aligning it where the emblem is located. So for these three, just align it right on the edge of the emblem and make sure you have enough material to cover the top and enough material to cover the lower section here. So if you need to lift it to adjust it, you can. Make sure you just have coverage. So this should be good. Now all you need to do is lift the film, follow the rest of the panel until you reach to the other end. Then you would just do the same process as how we did it for the last two. Grab your squeegee, tack down everything, remove all of the air, apply heat, and then trim off the excess material. And remember to tuck in the film underneath here, and whatever is left over that is excess material, then trim it off. So once you finish with the installation, repeat the same steps that was done here for the remaining section of this side of the grill and on the other side. And then once you're done with the installation, the last thing to do is to post heat. So once you finish with the entire installation for the front grille, the last thing to do is to post heat the entire front section. So all you need is your heat gun, and you can use the high or the low setting for this part. If you do use the high setting, just make sure you apply the heat evenly throughout the entire panel. Make sure you're not focused on one area for too long, because if you are, you might accidentally burn the film. So take your time applying heat throughout the entire panel, and then once you're done with this process, you're done with the installation. So that concludes the installation video for the front grille chrome bleed installation for the 2024 Volkswagen Atlas. We hope that the video helped you guys out with the installation. Don't forget to drop a like on the video, make sure you subscribe and turn on the notification bell. That way you don't miss any of our upcoming installation videos. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you guys in the next one.